Prologue: The hanging of Sheikh Mujib's assassins. A little more than a quarter century ago, I met a man who calmly told me how he had organized the massacre of a family. There was no sense of remorse in his confession. He was bragging about it, even grinning as he spoke to me. I was a young reporter at that time, on assignment in Dhaka, trying to figure out what had gone wrong with Bangladesh. 15 years earlier, as a schoolboy in India, I had followed its blood-splattered struggle for independence. I remembered the image of 10 million people who had crossed the border seeking refuge in India. I had collected funds for the refugees by staging a play in Bombay, as the city I grew up in was known at the time. We shouted, "Joy Bangla," the Bangladeshi cry for independence, for no apparent reason. 10-year-old kids do such things. And we eagerly listened to the radio and read newspapers over 2 weeks in December as India defeated the Pakistani army, assisting Bangladeshi Mukti Bahini forces to gain independence. During those days, I remember going with my family to the railway station with home-cooked food for Indian soldiers going to the front. The man I was interviewing that day in Dhaka lived in a well-appointed home in Banani, a tawny part of Bangladesh's capital. Soldiers protected his house, checking the bags and identification of all visitors. A week earlier, he had been a presidential candidate, losing by a huge margin to the eventual winner, President Hussein Mohammad Ershad. The man I met wore a Pathani outfit that looked out of place in a country where civilian politicians tended to wear white kurtas with black waistcoats if they belonged to the Awami League, and safari suits if they were part of the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, while working class men on the streets went about in lungis. The Pathani outfit was more in tune with what men from Pakistan wore. As I was to learn later, many Bangladeshis who had lost their loved ones during the war hated the outfit just as they hated the slogan Bangladesh Jindabad. They preferred Joy Bangla. The man I had come to interview had a thin mustache and wore gold-rimmed glasses. He started at me eagerly as we spoke, curious about the notes I was taking, trying to read what I was writing in my notepad. He sat straight on the sofa, his chest thrust forward, as if he was still in uniform. He looked self-assured and confident, not like someone who had overwhelmingly lost the presidential poll. He was part of a high-stakes game, and he looked as if he was certain he would win, as if he was assured that someone important held all the cards. His name was Farooq Rahman, and he had been a major and later lieutenant colonel in the Bangladeshi army. He had returned to Bangladesh only recently, after several years in exile in Libya. What he had done in the past was not in dispute. Before dawn on 15 August 1975, he had led the Bengal Lancers, the army's tank unit under his command, to disarm the Rokhi Bahini, a parliamentary force loyal to Sheikh Mujib. As Farooq left the Dhaka cantonment, he had instructed other officers and soldiers to go to the upscale residential area of Dhanmondi, where Mujib lived. Soon after 5 a.m., the officers had killed Mujib